It's back, and it's better than ever. The world-famous Bronx Zoo reopened their World of Darkness exhibit, originally opened way back in 1969 as what they claimed to be the first nocturnal house in an American zoo, even though the Cincinnati zoos opened 5 years earlier, and even they claim that there were 2 nocturnal houses before that. Regardless, World of Darkness was a big deal, and it still remains a big deal because 1, night houses are hard to come by, and the guest experience is just as unique as the species that they often display, which is why it made the zoo feel so empty when World of Darkness closed in 2009 from budget issues. Yet it lived on like a legend, and people still talked about it as if it never closed, and the zoo was definitely paying attention. And during the 2024 Thanksgiving parade, they hinted at this night house's return before making a formal announcement 1 week later. Today, there are 21 different habitats, 23 species, and you're gonna learn a thing or two about almost all of them. Before we do that, I'm gonna need your help identifying this species that will appear in the next episode. Right across from the incredible Gelato Reserve are the steps that will take you up to your windowless, fortress-looking, C-shaped nighttime experience. The outdoor entrance and exit space has a few large signs spread around, one that tells you how you can help your nocturnal neighbors, and others that I'll call social media backdrops that encourage you to post and say, "I saw the Bronx Zoo's newest big thing, it was awesome, and you need to come here as soon as possible to see it for yourself." Oh, and there's a rock, a 40-ton giant pink granite boulder that came here because of an Ice Age glacier. Now that it's time to go inside, here's how this walkthrough is going to work. World of Darkness is the second darkest exhibit I've ever seen. Footage quality won't be the best, I can't really give a good idea of the layout, and this will be a very species-focused tour. So rather than go in order, I will group these animals in their own categories. Since it's a mixed animal habitat, we're going to start off with Exhibit 1 of 21. This forest is home to 3 species from South America. A red-rumped agouti, a medium-sized rodent that's good at getting through hard-to-crack nuts. There's a Nancy Maw's night monkey, or Duraculi, which, with the lights on, look like this. And the one that I really expected to be sleeping was the Hoffmann's two-toed sloth. So, thank you, Sloth. And thank you to the graphic designers. Nocturnal houses are known for a lot of things, but good signage isn't one of them. And Bronx definitely outdid themselves, and well, actually outdid everybody. The signs have their usual facts, but every one of them tells you how these animals are threatened, and they're interactive in the most creative ways. In the night monkey's case, when you press this button, it reveals their favorite foods. World of Darkness has 2 invertebrates. My only no-show was a South American pink-toed tarantula, but at least in a way, their sign was alive, and if you trace the light, it explains how these spiders use special hairs to sense pheromones to find a mate. And right across from the sloth is a trapezoid that makes you look over the enclosure. I read that it used to display scorpions, and it looks like they never left. Emperor scorpions from West Africa, and when you press their button, it shows that they glow when shown under ultraviolet light. And there are 2 species that fall under the category of aquatics. One tank is swarming with blind cave fish, who can't see how great the World of Darkness turned out to be, but they still can feel the world around them with sensory organs that detect vibrations. And some studies show that this fish puckers its mouth, producing bursts of suction that creates a water current in hopes that it will bounce back to them, kind of like how a bat or a dolphin uses echolocation. And you know who else dwells in caves and can't see? The Texas blind salamander, a critically endangered amphibian that's also adapted to total darkness. They're found only in the Edwards Aquifer, or a massive underground reservoir in Texas. Because they are highly sensitive to the quality of the water, their health actually directly reflects the overall health of the ecosystem. So healthy salamanders means there's a healthy ecosystem. In what I will call the other mammals category, we're sticking to Texas and the southern parts of the United States. This is home to a ringtail, a relative of the raccoon. As a tour group, we learned a couple of months ago that there is something similar called a cacomissal, a different species, but the ringtail is also called a cacomissal, which is exactly what the Bronx Zoo does, but I assure you, it's actually a ringtail. From one desert theme to another, the 9-banded armadillo is the only armadillo species found in the United States, and it's the most widespread of its kind. It's native to South and Central America, and migrated to the US in the mid-1800s. Now they do this really cool thing when they mate. The single fertilized egg might do nothing for 3 to 4 months, and eventually will split into 4 identical embryos, and the mom will always give birth to quadruplets, and the offspring will always be the same sex. Like the water breathers and the invertebrates, another kind of animal that I don't see too often in a nocturnal house is a reptile, and World of Darkness has 4. A Guatemalan beaded lizard, a Central American venomous lizard, and the zoo says that they use their venom for defense and not necessarily always for capturing prey. While the beaded lizard controls the rodent populations, the New Caledonia giant gecko prefers fruit and nectar, so they play a huge role in pollination and seed dispersal. They are very well camouflaged, they growl, and they grow over 14 inches long, making them the largest gecko in the world. Then we have a mix of snakes. I caught the very tail end of a huge blood python, and if you want to know how it got its name, all you have to do is look at it, with the lights on, of course. And they get to live with Timor pythons, named after the island of Timor in Southeast Asia. But according to the Smithsonian, they live near the island, but not actually on it. And then my favorite habitat is home to another channel first, the Broad-Snouted Camain. Named for its short, wide snout, they thrive in shallow, heavily vegetated wetlands. Their jaws can snap in 200 milliseconds, but they're better suited for crushing snails and other mollusks. Broad snouts see really well in low light and have a face full of ultra-sensitive sensors, or integumentary sensory organs, a term coined by the zoo, that can detect even the slightest movement in water. This is my favorite area because you can actually see the animals without having to wait for your eyes to adjust, and I love the atmosphere. It looks like it's lit by the moon, and the mist just really adds to that swamp feel. Now we all know that no nocturnal building is ever complete without its bats. And just to be safe, just to make sure that there were a lot of them, World of Darkness has 3 different species. Can you see them up close and study each one individually? No, not at all, but there's still just enough light to see their blurs fly by. There are 2 forest environments, one for the incredibly common Seba's short-tailed bat, and one for the slightly less heard of Egyptian fruit bat. The third one is an incredibly detailed cave. And if you told me to draw or paint the underworld, this is exactly what it would look like. And this version of hell displays vampire bats, about 300 of them that came from the Cincinnati Zoo. If a night house is gonna have bats, then you have to have at least one rodent. The absolutely adorable giant cloud rat, found only in the montane forests in the Philippines. Unlike most rodents, it's arboreal, or lives in the trees, it's slow-moving, and feeds on young leaves, fruits, and shoots high in the canopy. This isn't the first time a cloud rat has been featured on the channel before. It isn't even the first time I featured one on a Bronx Zoo video. We saw one in the Mouse House episode, which are still there, by the way, and they're also still in their Jungle World exhibit as well, meaning it's cloud rat mania here in New York, which I guess makes sense because this city is definitely no stranger to rodents. And over here, we are about to see the mammal that, if I wanted to mix things up even more, I could have added them to the insect invertebrates category. Not really, but socially, naked mole rats are insect-like. They live in highly organized colonies with a single breeding queen, much like ants or termites. They communicate through squeaks and vibrations, they tunnel far and wide underground, and are given different duties for survival, like foraging, caring for the pups, and few actually have the privilege of breeding with the queen. In a category of its own, the building's only cat, the lovable, but probably not snuggable, sand cat. Another desert resident found across North Africa, the Middle East, and other parts of Central Asia. So it doesn't mind really harsh and really unfriendly environments, with thick fur on its feet to deal with hot sand, large ears for detecting prey underground, and a pale, sandy coat that keeps them hidden in plain sight. They get all the moisture that they need from their prey, so they can go months without an actual water source. So if you ever hear a guest wonder, why would a zoo have a domestic cat on display? Because I've heard that before. Just know that the sand cat is the furthest thing from a house pet. And then lastly, that leaves us with the primates. The gray mouse lemur didn't help out. At least we saw it in the zoo's own Madagascar building, which has since been replaced with a leaf-tailed gecko, by the way. Straight across from them is another densely packed forest, but not dense enough for me to be able to spot the southern lesser Galago, otherwise known as bush babies, which are not monkeys. They're also not apes, but are in a suborder of strepsirrhines alongside lemurs. These bush babies, I presume, also lived in the nocturnal section of the mouse house. So that word that I just used, strepsirrhine, well, you can throw the pygmy slow lorises in that group as well. One of the strangest primates you'll ever see. They come from parts of Southeast Asia, they weigh about a pound, and are one of the few mammals that are venomous. They have elbow glands that produce a toxin, but it isn't actually completely toxic until it's combined with their saliva, so their bites can be extra painful, cause swelling, and give us allergic reactions. So if you ever see a mother loris licking her young, like how a cat would give a bath, she's just adding an extra protective layer of toxins before she goes out on her own to find food. And if that wasn't strange enough for you, then I'd like to introduce you to the Ai, a primate of Madagascar, which means, yes, this is a kind of lemur. Can't you see the resemblance? It has giant eyes and giant ears, but they're most famous for their unusually long, twig-like middle finger that they use as a tool. They'll use it to tap on tree branches to find hollow spots where they suspect insects to be, and then they dig in as far as possible and pull out their prize. This Ai is another channel first, and it might be a minute before we see them again because only 7 other AZA facilities display them. And before the New York locals make a comment, I should tell you at some point they might be exhibited with an even rarer, bat-tailed dwarf lemur. Next on Zoo Tours, the members have spoken and we're gonna switch gears up just a bit. Rather than take us through your normal zoo or aquarium, I'm gonna show you the entirety of what I think is America's best reptile zoo and give you tons of reasons why you need to visit this place as soon as you can. So, as always, please stay tuned for our next adventure, stay wild, and thank you all for watching Zoo Tours.